Ciao amici e benvenuti nella peso sulla luna. Hello friends. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably already know that this is a video in my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille or antique Italian decks to answer a question that I pull out of my larger Rider-Waite-Smith based tarot reading for the week. And I've already done that one. I titled that one, It's All About Alignment. But really, it's more than just about alignment. It's also about evolution. Yeah? We, in that spread, explored the idea of our alignment as being an ever-evolving state. And if that's something you'd like to see, and I recommend looking at that video because I think it was a very interesting, in-depth exploration of a very helpful topic. And if you'd like to see that, I will put a link up here in a box so you can click up here and hop on over and take a look at that video. From that video, I pulled a question. And the question was, how do we find the emotionally balanced alignment of the King of Cups when we are in the middle of the mental anguish of the Ten of Swords? That's a long one, isn't it? Let me say it again. How do we find the emotionally balanced alignment of the King of Cups when we are in the middle of the mental anguish of the Ten of Swords? Why in the world did I pull that question? Well, in the larger spread, in my larger spreads, there are usually 4 questions being answered by tarot cards. And one of those 4 questions was, what's the easier way? And in response to what is the easier way was the King of Cups, which in Rider-Waite-Smith terms is the emotionally balanced one, the compassionate one. And the Ten of Swords, which in the Rider-Waite-Smith cards is painful endings, anguish, being at the end of one's mental rope, being stabbed in the back sometimes. How is that easier? How is getting from a Ten of Swords mental, near mental death anguish state to the King of Cups of emotional balance and compassion and caring and not being riled up by stuff? How is that easier? So that is my question. How do we find the emotionally balanced alignment of the King of Cups when we are in the middle of the mental anguish of the Ten of Swords? So I've got 3 cards pulled out. I will show you the question in full, in text, so you can read it again. And you can look at the cards, and then we'll dive right in together. Take a look. Friends, these are absolutely exquisite cards, aren't they? And I tried to take a very good photograph of them. I really did try my best, but trust me, these cards in person are even better. The colors are richer and more exquisite. And in case you're curious, this is from the Stone Visconti Tarot by Lily Stone, and I'll have a link in the description box below so that you can go over to her site and check them out. I believe that they're still available. They are at the time that I'm filming this. So go check out this deck. It's a stunner. The cards are large. They are large, but they shuffle beautifully. So I highly recommend it. And we just saw 3 cards from this beautiful deck. And I'm not entirely satisfied with my reading of these cards yet, but hopefully as I talk through these cards with you, I'll come to something that makes me happier, that makes me feel like the reading is complete. Because frankly, the way that these cards came out in a line, I would have actually much preferred seeing the lover card, or the lover's card, in between the swords and the coins. If that had come out in that way, I would have read it in one way that would have been easier and more satisfying for me. Frankly, I would have understood a balance and marriage of these two elements, and that's not what came out. So, since we're looking at what actually did come out, let me read from left to right, which is usually the direction in which I will read, unless there are people showing me, people in the cards which indicate to me to read from right to left. The lover card, or the lover's card, you see that people are facing in two different directions, perhaps even three, and so I don't get the idea that I have to read from right to left. So I'm going to read from left to right. And the first card, from left to right, was the Nine of Swords. So, Nine of Swords, perspective shift, loss of belief, broken ideology. Makes sense from the Ten of Swords being the next step, or the first step in our journey from the Ten of Swords, right? So, Ten of Swords, we're in the middle of mental anguish. Yeah? We feel either betrayed, stabbed in the back, or we are betraying ourselves and stabbing ourselves with negative thoughts and anxieties and fears and worries and all the multitude of potential negative thoughts, self-destructive thoughts. And so the Nine of Swords is here to remind us to shift perspective. Allow the loss of belief, because probably it's our beliefs are possibly inappropriate or are potentially self-damaging beliefs which are causing us to stab ourselves with our negative thoughts. Does that make sense? For example, I believe that I have to be this kind of person. And I see that I'm not that kind of person. And I'm worried that I won't become that person. I criticize myself for not being that person. I self-evaluate and feel like I may be powerless to become that person. And those are all because of my belief that I should be like this, and I'm not like this. All of those thoughts about that are the self-damaging thoughts of the Ten of Swords. So perhaps what I need to do is lose that belief. I need to shift my perspective. I need to break the ideology that I have allowed myself to impose upon myself, which is causing me to stab myself with 10 swords of negative thought, anxiety, worry, etc. It's time to reevaluate. It's time to intellectually let go. Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of my favorite people in the universe, who passed away in 2015, but was considered America's guru when he was alive, especially in the last 10 to 20 years of his life. A wonderfully wise, deep, engaging speaker. And one of the things that he said, and possibly he got from the 12-step program from AA, which I only know second or third hand, but was let go and let God. So, let go and let God. No, God, what is God? God is the divine. It's the eternal nature of consciousness that we all exist within, and which is constantly creating us, but not as God and me, but remember that we are extensions of God here in this universe. Now there's this divine creator, whatever we want to call that being, God, Allah, Brahman, great earth, Gaia, great mother, eternal father, universal consciousness, whatever name we want to give that is not separate from us. In fact, we are that. We are extensions of that consciousness through the eternal nature that we are here into these physical bodies as we co-create this life in this physical universe. So we want to intellectually let go of those things which we are using as our reasons to stab ourselves with those 10 swords. Let go and let the divine come in and heal that space. Because when we take those swords out, there's going to be space. We want to heal. And the divine, the eternal nature that we are and the fullness of the divine can heal us. So let go, intellectually, let go of those swords and let the divine, which we are, heal us. It's also the card of breaking old habits. And those swords, those 10 swords, didn't suddenly appear out of nowhere. We've developed the habit of picking up one sword and stabbing ourselves with it. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I didn't do that right. I don't have the talent for this. I'm not this. I'm not that. I can't be this. I will never be that. We have this habit of grabbing these swords and stabbing ourselves with them. That's one old habit we really want to break. And until we break that habit, we can't actually really let go of those swords, because it's a never-ending, I don't want to say battle, but it's a never-ending task of the moment we pull one sword out, we stab ourselves with 2 more. It's like cutting off a head of the Hydra, right? You cut off one head and 2 grow back. Now we pull one sword out, and without even realizing it, we've picked up 2 different ones and stabbed ourselves with them. Our old concepts, we want to bring them into question. That's all what this 9 of Swords card is to me. So the first step in discovering our lovely King of Cupsness is to first break the habit of stabbing ourselves, of letting go of the reasons we're using to stab ourselves as well, and to get a new perspective of that. And that larger video that I just did this week is all about that. It's all about getting that new perspective. And so what comes after that? The 9 of Swords. We had the 3 of coins, the 3 deniers, the 3 of coins. And usually when I see 3 coins together in a Marseille deck or an antique Italian deck, I think of these things. I think of investment. Sure, we can invest in ourselves. That would help. Sure. Starting a project and the first gains from a project. That'd be nice, surely. That could help me feel better about myself, I guess. The decision to do something with unknown results. A decision to start something even though I don't really know exactly where it's going to go. And not entirely a fool's beginning, like, hi, I'm the fool, I'm the Mato, I'm gonna start a journey and I have no idea where I'm going. Not to that extreme, but I've got this idea of something I might want to do. I'm not really sure exactly what it's going to develop into, but I think I'll start. Like, I've got this painting I want to paint, and I have a vague idea of what I want it to be. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to start working on it and know or believe that it will take shape. Does that make sense? That's one way for me to see the 3 of coins. It could be partnerships. Yeah, 3s can be partnerships as well. Partnership and is an alliance that bears fruit, an alliance that has material results. It could be all of that. Now, did you notice, maybe you didn't, maybe you did, but there were 2 banners in this particular card. There are two banners, and they both actually said the same thing. They say, Abondroit. Abondroit. Abondroit was the motto of the family that created this deck. This deck, short history lesson, at least as far as I understand it, this deck was a deck that was commissioned as a wedding present for two different families, the Visconti family and the Sforza family. And this deck is often called the Visconti Sforza. And there were the woman, Bianca, who's shown in a lot of the cards, or at least we assume that the woman who is shown in a lot of the cards, the majors, is perhaps Bianca. And the man, I think Federico, is her bridegroom. The bride is from the rich ruling family, the Visconti family, and the groom is from the Sforza family, a fighting family. And they married and they became a very powerful family, more powerful family. And as a wedding gift, these cards were commissioned. And these are expensive cards. Yeah, gold was used to create these cards. They're hand painted. Each one is a work of art by an artisan. They're not just stamped and printed for the masses. These were individually crafted works of art, 78 works of art to create one deck. And on some of the cards, the family's motto was there, Abondroit. Now, my translation of that can be, with good reason, deservedly, legitimately, rightly. I have the right to do this. I have a good reason for doing what I am doing, for being who I am being. And that might be one reason that this card showed up. Yeah, remember, from the Nine of Swords, we just got that, I gotta get a new perspective, I need to let go of the beliefs that I'm using as a reason to stab myself, right? I got these beliefs, I got these ideas that need reevaluation. I want to let go of them because I'm using them to stab myself with these 10 swords, and I want to pull those swords out. And so as I do that, after I pulled out the swords and I start the healing process, I want to recognize that I have a legitimate reason to be this as I am. Remember, I've had perhaps this image of who I think I should be, and I'm not that. Here in the three, Abondroit, I am legitimate as I am. I have the right to be as I am. I deserve, I am worthy as I am. Abondroit. I mean, I'm stretching that motto a little bit, but I think that's what this card is here to remind us of. It's also here to remind us of one more thing, maybe. Along with those things of investment, starting a project, doing something with unknown results, we have the 3 coins. Now, the 3 coins came from, there was the first coin. The first coin split into 2, and then the 2 mashed up together, and a third was born. Now, if you got a sense of sexual union from that, that was deliberate. Yeah, the baby was born. The third thing was created from the union of the 2. And that's another thing that I can see in this card. That third thing, the new thing, is born from the union of the 2, from perhaps the male, the female, from the water and the fire, from the sun and the moon, from the anger and the love. Now, I've placed out, I'm using this one framework, but it's not only this one framework. This is just an example, right? There's this person I think I should be, and there's me. And it's that difference that I'm using as a reason to stab myself. So I pulled out the swords, and now I'm letting go of the need to become that because I recognize that I have a right to be as I am. However, there's still that image, right? There's still that it's not a belief that I should be something other than I am, but there's still that image of the direction I am going in. And that image and me, perhaps in union, not in me changing and becoming something else, but in union can give birth to a new thing. And perhaps that new thing could be a little seed of the King of Cups. Does that make sense? It's like there's the enlightened me and there's the me. And that's the direction I'm going in. And the union of that enlightened me idea and the me idea together can bring forth a third union thing. That might be the King of Cups. Yeah? Still knowing that abondoit, I have the right, I'm legitimately who I am. I don't have to become anything else. I am legitimate who I am. But I can create the next evolution of me as well, without forcing it, without criticizing myself for not being it yet. And then we move into now the card is not named. In Tarot de Marseille decks, it is called Le Amoureux, which is a singular noun, the lover. In Rider-Waite-Smith decks, it's called the Lavers. This card is not in the style of Tarot de Marseille. It's actually more in the style of what would later become, much later become, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, where there's a male figure, a female figure, and an angel above. And there's this union of the two. In Tarot de Marseille, there are 3 human figures with maybe a cherub above. Yeah? There's a male figure, presenting figure, and 2 female presenting figures, and there's a Cupid above, and the male presenting figure seems to be needing to make a choice. And that is the lover, singular. This card doesn't have a title. So we could pick, is it the lover or the lovers? Our choice. And either way, it's a card for the emotional life. It's a card for pleasure and joy on one hand. Not the pleasure perhaps, or the excited pleasure of perhaps the devil. For me, the devil card in Tarot de Marseille especially can be playfulness and excitement and enjoying the material realm and playing with the material realm and the angel fallen into the material realm and getting off on it, to say it crudely. But this is a different kind, joy and pleasure and the medieval kind of romantic joy and pleasure. A choice is to be made. We can still get that choice. This couple is still making the choice to unite, to join families, a new union for friendship or co-workers. It could be the lover and the love. Yeah? Whether we identify with the male presenting figure, the female presenting figure, one of them could be the lover and the other could be the loved, or the love. And so it's that union of the lover and love. Loving what one does could be part of this as well. The need to disengage from past influences is part of this, which is an important part considering the reading that we're doing right now, right? Learning the joy of living, which is the King of Cups. And perhaps it's those last two that give us the answer. The last two give us the answer to this question. We've gone from that Nine of Swords, of letting go of the beliefs which are causing us to experience the Ten of Swords, to do a little bit of the healing, to recognize the legitimacy of who we are, where we are now. And perhaps allowing a union between who we are and who we are becoming to produce that third beautiful being of our evolution. Moving into the Lover card, where we disengaged from those past influences. Yeah, we pulled out the swords, but now we can finally disengage. Not hide them, not bury them in the ground, not pretend they never were there, but disengage from them and let them to flow into the past, while we learn the joy of living in the now. And as we learn the joy of living in the now, we're there at the King of Cups. So, that does actually seem like the easier way, right? That is the easier way, rather than trying to make ourselves become the person that we're not yet, rather than trying to fix all this stuff so that those negative thoughts won't come. We go through the process of letting go of those expectations that cause us to do the stabbing, that cause us to be stabby with ourselves. And then we heal and we allow ourselves to let the third thing grow from the yin and yang, from the light and dark, from the hot and cold, from the joyful and the sorrowful, from the enlightened and the unenlightened, although there's no unenlightened being here. Let the third emerge. And as we do that, we, in the Lover card, allow that stuff to go. Just go. Disengage. Completely disengage. And learn the joy of now, of being who we are, of abondant. And then we reveal ourselves as the King of Cups. Easier than trying to fix everything, certainly. Easier than trying to force ourselves from stopping the stabbing stuff. However, it doesn't seem like a really quick process, does it? The easier way may not be the quickest, may not be a quick way. There may not be a quick way. Now, it may be quick for you. I don't know. Your experience, my experience, they're different. For me, it's not a quick thing, and it's not a one and done thing either. It's something I do repeatedly. I've discovered for myself that I do repeatedly. But apparently that is the easier way, according to the cards. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, let me know below. If it doesn't make sense, let me know below. Do you get a different reading from these cards? Let me know below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, if you are still here, hit that like button so that YouTube knows that you are engaging with this content, and it helps the channel. It does, and I would greatly appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I usually do 2 a week. Sometimes I do 3. And when I go on vacation, I might even be doing more. Just a little hint. I've got something in the works coming up that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do. Also, comment below. I would really, really love to hear from you. If you wanted a one-on-one reading, either with Rider-Waite-Smith or with Tarot de Marseille, I've got a link to my Instagram channel or my Instagram account. Why do I have that? Well, because with YouTube, you can't send me a private message. But if you hop over to Instagram, you can send me a private message. And we can work out a way for you to get a private reading from me. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.